Alright, what's going on, guys? Over the last few weeks, Elden Ring nightreign has been capturing everybody's attention. We finished up the rotation of Everdark Sovereign boss fights. We just got the announcement of the new Deep of Night competitive ranked mode, which we just did a full breakdown on. So if you didn't see that, be sure to check out that video. But with all that going on, there's also been a lot of other FromSoftware news flying under the radar that we really need to talk about. Firstly, there's been some pretty big news about the Elden Ring movie. Some actually very good news that makes me think this is going to be surprisingly good. We got a new update around the whole situation about Elden Ring on Switch 2, which has been causing a lot of controversy. And then finally we have our first bit of news, or rumors even, about the Duskbloods, the very mysterious game that is FromSoftware's next title, which a lot of people seem to have forgotten about. So we're going to break all of that down. But as we get started today, as always, if you want to stay up to date on all things Elden Ring and FromSoftware, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And now let's get into it. Alright, so let's start off today by talking about this Elden Ring movie news. Now, rightfully so, when the announcement about this project came to light, people were very skeptical. There are very few video game adaptations into film media that actually turn out good. And when it comes to a game and world like Elden Ring, the chance of failure goes exponentially higher. But what do we know about Elden Ring movie so far? Well, we know that Bandai Namco is handling the IP. We know that it's going to be in production by A24, directed by Alex Garland, who not only plays Elden Ring, has apparently played it 5 times, and is a longtime fan of the Dark Souls trilogy. We know 3 of the cast members so far: Kit Connor, Ben Whishaw, and Kaylee Spaney. So it appears, at least from the production side of things, this is being handled very professionally. But a news story just came out, talking about how this movie actually got greenlit and got the approval to be put into production. And this right here gives me some very good confidence that we could have a really good movie about to be on our hands. So you probably saw this article floating around. Elden Ring superfan Alex Garland put together a 160-page draft script with 40 extra pages of images to convince Miyazaki to let him direct the movie. Sounds pretty crazy, but let's take a look at this. This information comes from a New Yorker piece on A24 as a whole, and we'll read through the bit about the Elden Ring movie. A few years ago, Sako visited Garland at home during a trip to London. The director, who had gushed on the phone about Elden Ring, showed off the game on his PlayStation, then asked whether A24 would back an adaptation. The lush visuals and fantasy setting reminded Sako of the Lord of the Rings movies. He replied, "F yeah." Garland, in the hope of garnering the support of the game's elusive creator Hidetaka Miyazaki, offered to write a script on spec. Once he had completed an epic 160-page draft with 40 additional pages of imagery, Sako flew him to Japan to close the deal with Elden Ring's developer and publisher. This is the second forthcoming A24 video game adaptation. The first will be based on Hideo Kojima's post-apocalyptic Death Stranding. Sako pointed out to me that both designers are amateurs in their own medium. His first question for Kojima had been, "Are you sure you don't want to direct?" Okay, so first off, side note, I am surprised that Kojima isn't directing his own movie. But when it comes to Alex Garland, this is some pretty serious dedication. One thing that we can be absolutely sure of so far is that they're not doing this for the sake of money. This is showing all the signs of being a passion project for Alex Garland. You don't write a nearly 200-page script with 40 pages of imagery and fly out personally to pitch it for something that your heart isn't into. And we've covered here on the channel before Alex Garland talking about the atmosphere of the Dark Souls trilogy, and he describes it perfectly, where the games and even the characters within all feel like a distant memory or some kind of dream, teetering on the edge of reality, but being lost in something else. And that's the feeling he gets from the games, and I feel like for someone to direct a movie, that's the kind of feeling they need to capture. Not just some kind of epic fantasy for the sake of it, but really capturing what the Souls games present, because it's not like any other fantasy. These games and Miyazaki's vision have almost transformed the fantasy genre over the last decade or so, and especially with video games, everything seems to be building, not just on the dark fantasy atmosphere, but also on that very obtuse and obscure storytelling. And if Alex Garland can truly capture that in movie format, we could have something very special on our hands. But now that we know Miyazaki personally hasn't only seen the script and the imagery but signed off on it, that to me is the best sign. Now I still want to know, what part of the story are they going to be covering? Who are going to be the main characters? And how well does Alex Garland actually understand the lore of the world he's going to be portraying? Because all those things could make or break the movie just as much. But it does seem like everything we learn about this movie, more and more, are good and even better signs that this could be a real banger. They're actually taking it seriously, and I can't wait to learn more about it. Well, what do you guys think about the Elden Ring movie so far based on everything we know? Do you think these are good signs? Or are you still very skeptical about this even happening in the first place? Y'all let me know down below. Now recently there's been a lot of discussion about the Elden Ring Tarnished Edition, which is the Switch 2 version, coming sometime very soon. That'll be introducing a little bit of new content to the game, but a lot of people got to get hands-on with this at Gamescom, and what captured all the headlines was apparently how terrible the game ran, specifically in the handheld mode. So much so that people were creating online petitions to have the game delayed so that it could actually be playable on release. Now the reason this blew up so much was because nobody got to actually see the gameplay themselves. This was all hearsay. You had articles like IGN's and others talking about how much of a disaster it was, and so this got everybody up in arms to ask for a delay. Now since then, more gameplay has surfaced of unedited, true gameplay on the Switch 2 portable mode, and I don't think I can show it, but I did watch it, and here's what it looked like. There was just some base Limgrave gameplay, and to be honest, it looked just okay. The performance looked about somewhere between 30 and 60 FPS, and there were a lot of stutters. This was not a consistent frame rate at all. Now, was it terrible? No. Was it playable? Yes. But it wasn't nearly what a lot of people were exaggerating it to be, saying things like 6 FPS, constant stuttering. It was about what you'd expect for Elden Ring on portable mode in Switch. It's not great, but if you're trying to play portable just for the sake of it, then I guess it's passable. Is there plenty of room for improvement? Definitely. I mean, that's nowhere close to the other consoles. Now, it seems to be fine in docked mode, but if you're someone that's thinking about purchasing this for the sake of playing it on handheld, definitely look up some gameplay first and see if you still want to make your purchase. Should they delay it and fix it? I would be happy if they did, but is this still passable? It depends on the consumer, really. But I wanted to cover this today because we had covered those articles before, and this could be releasing very soon, likely sometime this month, and people need to know what they're buying. But now let's talk about another Switch 2 game from FromSoftware, the Duskbloods, the next major title after Elden Ring nightreign, set to release sometime next year. And it seems like a lot of people have forgotten about this game, and I don't blame you, because since the game's announcement it's been complete radio silence. Absolutely nothing about this game has come out in the way of news, but now we finally have at least something to talk about, because new listings for the game have been popping up around on the internet, and some websites are showing a very interesting release date. The Norwegian site GameZone has a release date listed for March 31st, 2026. Now, at first glance, everyone should be thinking, okay, well yeah, but that's just a placeholder date, right? The game has already been confirmed for 2026, so this is just some random date they put down. Now, more than likely that's exactly the case. However, there is reason to believe that might not be all it is. And that's simply because FromSoftware always loves to release their games exactly around that time in the spring. And I think the only exception we've had in recent memory was Armored Core 6, which released in August. But pretty much every other game releases exactly around that time. So there is a very good chance that when receiving the product information, they did give them a release date to put on the listing. Now, it was likely confidential, but mistakes happen. We see stuff like this all the time. Now, will the game actually release on March 31st? I doubt it, but March is probably exactly what they're thinking. But anyway, with new games like this is the kind of stuff you need to look out for to piece together a full picture. Hopefully we get to see some Duskbloods news soon. I bet we get another trailer around the Game Awards time, because it's just been way too quiet about this game for it to be releasing next year. So do you think that release date is a mistake? Do you think it's legit? And when do you think we'll hear more about the Duskbloods? Let me know down below. Anyways though guys, that's gonna pretty much do it for the video today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe if you're new around here. But with all that, I will catch you in the next one.